Yesterday in D2 we got a new exotic bow, the Wishkeeper, but how good is it really? Today I'm going to report my findings on the new bow in both PvE and PvP and try to give you an idea of how it ranks in the grand scale of exotics. If you haven't gotten it yet, should you rush out and get it immediately because it's super meta? Or is it just completely mid-garbage, destined to live in your collections tab forever? Time to find out. Timestamps below, ready up, and let's go. But real quick, a pop quiz. What's this ad read going to be about? It's not a VPN, no, it's not a new set of headphones. It's an awesome game with hundreds of champions to collect, many of which look like this. Not to mention a super in-depth RPG battle system, amazing graphics, and intense PvE boss fights. And when I say intense, I really mean it. The Cursed City is here, a month long of some of the toughest content Raid has ever put out. There are over 100 stages to complete across 4 increasingly difficult districts, including double boss stages and a tough final fight against Amius the Lunar Archon. And with content this challenging, you know there'll be good rewards. Explore the city, clear stages, and complete quests to earn new supersonic and merciless artifacts, as well as special cursed remnants which can be used to summon epic and mythical champions. And by taking on the Cursed City on hard mode, players can also work towards earning a mythical champion, the ancient demon spawn, Carnage the Anarch. Things are also getting festive out here with Raid's Christmas Story, a special holiday-themed event where you can follow the story of Sir Nicholas with opportunities to win both in-game and real-life prizes. New players, if you click my link in the description or scan the QR code right here, you can get 2 epic heroes, a very strong epic champion Lightsworn, and once you've hit level 15, an epic boss killer Juliana. So just hit my link in the description and look for me under the name Falluwoot. And of course, be sure to join my clan. Don't wait, download today, and thank you Raid Shadow Legends. Alright, we back. First, let's go over exactly how the bow works, which may or may not include some of y'all's biggest fear, math. Don't worry though, anytime there's math or number talk, I'll include kitten pictures on the screen so it's less intimidating. They should really be doing that at school anyway. The Wishkeeper exotic perk says that precision hits and final blows build energy towards the unique Snare Weaver arrow. How many shots does it take exactly to fully charge? Great question. In PvE, any headshot with the bow will automatically give you a +1 charge, and any kill with the bow will give you a +1 charge. Those two things stack, by the way, meaning if you get a headshot kill with the Wishkeeper, that is +2 charges with just 1 arrow fired. Getting all the way up to 6 charges gives you the Snare Weaver arrow. In PvP, any headshot with the bow will give you a +1 charge, and any kill with the bow will give you a +3 charge, meaning that if you get a headshot kill in PvP, boom, instant +4 charge. The Snare Weaver arrow is activated by hip firing, which puts a bunch of traps on the ground. The traps have a 10-second duration, which is actually much longer than I was expecting, and when activated, they suspend nearby targets who wander into the trap. You can also hit a target directly with a Snare Weaver arrow to suspend them, something I'll lightly rant about. Something I'll talk about very calmly later. Next up, we have the Silkbound Slaya perk. The weapon deals bonus damage to suspended targets. How much bonus damage? Good question. Using everybody's favorite punching bag, Carl the Cabal, we see that a body shot arrow is 8,602 damage and a headshot arrow is 12,902 damage. After being suspended, the damage ramps up to 19,353 damage. Take note, by the way, that when the enemy is suspended, any shot with the arrow becomes a crit, even if you're not shooting them in the head. The bonus damage from a regular body shot to a suspended shot is +125% damage, and the bonus damage from a regular headshot to a suspended shot is +50% damage, which is not bad. In PvP, it's the same thing, but the numbers are watered down more than the cheapest light beer you'd find at the Dollar Tree. Again, you'll get a crit on the hanging enemy with the bow no matter where you shoot them, even if it's in the foot or the leg. A PvP body shot is 101 damage, and a headshot is 152. Then when the target is all strung up, the damage ramps up to 182. That would be a +80% damage boost from a regular body shot to a suspended shot, and a +20% damage increase from a regular headshot to a suspended shot. The Silkbound perk also mentions that you get faster draw time for a short duration when you suspend a target by any means, or if you damage a hanging target with this bow. How much faster of a draw time? Damn, you ask a lot of questions. Alright. I did a few rate of fire comparisons between firing the bow normally and then firing the bow after having suspended a target. It's hard to put an exact number on the draw time reduction, but it is noticeable if you put them side by side. Here's me firing 5 arrows normally on the left and firing 5 arrows at ramped up draw speed on the right. Very clearly noticeable for sure. One thing that kinda annoys me though, there's no timer or anything on your HUD at all that lets you know how long the better draw time buff is going on for. You kinda just have to feel it out. The good news though is that because it refreshes when you damage a suspended target with your bow, you can keep the better draw time up by just hitting the suspended target over and over. But yeah, I feel like a timer would have been a good idea. All right, now that you got a crash course on how the bow works, let's first talk about how it performs in PvE and my thoughts, and then PvP, which will be a shorter conversation. On the PvE side, I wanted to use this bow on suspend heavy builds as that's where I kind of felt like it would fit in the best. 2 builds that immediately came to mind were Verity's Brow Warlock and Abiant Leap Titan. Hunters, I know y'all got Strand stuff too, but I feel like Hunter Strand is kinda more PvP focused. Doesn't matter, we can get into that another time. For both PvE suspend builds, Verity's Brow and Abiant Leap, yeah, Wishkeeper performed basically exactly how I thought it would. You're just adding yet another layer of suspend on top of an already very layered, buttery croissant of Strand suspend goodness. The only thing you may find annoying is that you can't really go on autopilot too hard when using the bow. You have to make sure you're paying somewhat attention to your snare weaver arrow meter to make sure you don't accidentally waste or whiff the arrow when you didn't mean to. Just go ahead and charge the whole thing up, and then when it's at full power, make sure you're just ADSing with the bow constantly, and then when you want to lay down the trap, make sure you change to hip fire. Then when the enemies are all roped up, you can either hit them with the extra hard Wishkeeper bow shot, or you can just swap to whatever special or power weapon you have and blow through them that way. Let me be really clear, after using it for a few hours, I can safely say I like the Wishkeeper bow in PvE. It has really good utility, and it blends in well with the overall Strand kit. We also have some fun artifact perks right now for Strand, things like unraveling orbs, so it's a good season to fiddle around with the new Strand bow. However, Wishkeeper has major competition from a fair amount of good PvE weapons, but 2 stand out high above the rest. Wishender and, more importantly, Quicksilver Storm. Starting with Wishender, while Wishkeeper has fun utility and meshes well with the Strand kit, Wishender is such a universally good PvE weapon. Wishkeeper requires a little focused play and maybe that you pay attention to your special arrow meter, while Wishender is head empty autopilot and it hits like a truck. Sometimes when I was rocking Wishkeeper in PvE, I had moments where I thought, man, I'm not hitting that hard from far away. If only I had Wishender on, every motherfucker out here would be 6 feet under in one shot. Wishender just erases enemies at long range, and honestly, I've become pretty spoiled by it. I think moving forward, I'm going to try to use Wishkeeper on non-Strand builds to see how it goes, but for some reason it feels kind of odd with Wishkeeper, but definitely not with Wishender. That exotic is like bacon, it goes well with anything. The other weapon pushing Wishkeeper into a puddle of mud in front of the giggling cheerleader squad while wearing a big Letterman jacket is Quicksilver Storm. After playing with the bow for a few hours, I ran the same Strand builds back and just swapped out Wishkeeper for Quicksilver. And I'm not gonna say that Quicksilver completely makes Wishkeeper irrelevant, because it definitely doesn't, but good lord is that gun free. And unfortunately for Wishkeeper, they're pretty comparable. They're both exotic primaries, they're both in the kinetic slot, and they're both Strand. Both go well with the Strand kit, and both go well with suspend builds. And while Wishkeeper has great utility in the form of extra suspend on demand, Quicksilver has the ability to spray down trash a little bit quicker, and the godly built-in grenade launcher feature, which is still so good in PvE. Again, don't get me wrong, Wishkeeper is not bad. I'm definitely going to try to use it more for the fun factor, but it might be more of a specific activity type exotic for me, where Quicksilver is a solid pick for almost any PvE activity and will probably still be my go-to for more serious content. However, having said all of that, it is really important to keep in mind Wishkeeper isn't yet at full power. Much like Revision Zero and Vexcalibur, Wishkeeper is kinda time-gated in what we can craft on the exotic. Meaning at the end of the day, we're kinda comparing 2 cakes right now, but one of them doesn't have frosting on it yet. You know what I'm saying? Taking a look at what Wishkeeper will eventually be able to roll with though gives us a much better idea of what it'll be capable of, especially when we look at the exotic catalyst options, of which there are 4. 4. Enduring Snare will make sure Snare Weaver traps last longer. Multi-threaded Snare will allow traps to suspend more targets. And then you have both Vorpal Weapon and also Hatchling. I think if Enduring Snare is a really long time extension, like from 10 to 15 seconds, that would definitely be pretty neat. But I think out of everything here, I'm looking the most at either Hatchling and Vorpal Weapon. Hatchling would be a fun Strand kit pairing and would let you put more free damage on enemies in PvE after getting a kill. Vorpal Weapon might be my final masterwork pick though, because Wishkeeper is a primary weapon. It would get a free extra 20% damage on boss enemies from Vorpal. And considering you already smack suspended enemies in PvE extra hard, that would mean that you'd be smacking them even harder. When I eventually unlock Wishkeeper's final form, maybe I'll do a quick update video and see if that extra catalyst oomph is enough to make it even more viable. But I really don't know if this thing, even at full power, is going to dethrone my unnatural love of the Quicksilver. On the PvP front, I gotta admit, I actually had more fun using this bow than I originally thought I would. Because you get 3 energy from a bow kill, it's not that terrible charging up the Snare Weaver arrow in PvP. Because the bow does more damage to enemies that are suspended, there are certain combos you can do that result in basically a 1 arrow kill. The easiest to pull off being a Hunter Ensnaring Slam into Bow Shot. Ensnaring Slam on its own does a teeny bit of damage, and that combined with the 182 damage on a strung up enemy, that'll kill anyone in PvP at 5 Resil and lower, I believe, in 1 shot, which is really funny. Shout out to Cool Guy for the tip on that. You can also get a 1-hit kill in PvP on a suspended enemy with the bow if you're either Radiant or in a Warlock Empowering Rift, but that's a little bit more tricky to pull off consistently, and I'd probably file that under gimmicky. While I was impressed with Wishkeeper's performance in PvP, I do think at its very core, it's kind of a troll weapon, meaning not really a weapon I'd intentionally use as a top tier option, more of a weapon I'd throw on if I wanted to have fun or maybe take the piss out of the other team. Could I go flawless in trials with it? I'm sure I could, but then again, I'd probably have a much easier time with Wishender, which literally has free wall hacks, or the bow that shall not be named. Oh, right. Quick note to Bungie. Why the does the hipfire suspend shot not do any damage? I don't have the clip because I had OBS closed at the time, but in a game of PvP, I tried to last second hipfire bow an aping guy who was weak and forgot I had the Snare Weaver arrow ready to go, which does no damage, again, even on direct contact with an enemy. Maybe they did that because of general balance issues, but goddamn did I feel like a jackass when I died because of that 0 damage arrow and the guy just shot me in the face and acted like I was a complete idiot. All right, back on track. Wishkeeper is a fun exotic bow that shines brighter in PvE IMO, and while it does have a place in the meta as a unique utility weapon, and I do enjoy using it, it also has strong competition from real workhorse exotics. Let me know how you feel about the bow down in the comment section, and if you have any unique builds I should try with the bow, especially if they're not Strand builds, let me know. Be sure to check out Raid Shadow Legends with my link below. Big shout out to them. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.